decide who gets the passport. And the Caribbean has a rich history of turning a blind eye to official corruption. That has affected, CBS News says, the way that passports are handed out, especially diplomatic passports that entitle the bearer to all sorts of special privileges. What special privileges are we talking about? Again, Peter Vincent tells you, quote, the border officials that are receiving at the receiving country, even without a visa, almost always admit an individual carrying a diplomatic passport. In addition, border forces are not entitled to search the luggage of diplomats like they are for regular tourists. They simply wave them through. And so, this indiscriminate distribution of diplomatic passports for money under the table that this government has been engaging in is, in my view, the single biggest threat to the citizenship by investment program in this country. And all of the resources that they're expending now on the global PR campaign to turn around the 100 words that Lennox Linton spoke to CBS News will be better spent on cleaning up our act so that we emerge as being more responsible, as being more reliable partners in the advancement of global civilization. Because, again, something we've been talking about for years, something we've been concerned about for years, the investigation with CBS News have found that the sale of diplomatic passports, though it is not part of the citizenship by investment program, it goes on under the table, particularly in Dominica, which has had a most impressive core of dodgy diplomats. What is these dodgy diplomats? Well, here are some dodgy diplomats that we're aware of. We know that Francesco Corrado held the Dominica diplomatic passport as our designated envoy in Rome while he was on Interpol's public domain. While government could have no difficulty sharing the number of diplomatic appointments and postings established, it remains opposed to the idea of divulging detailed information on all appointees in a forum that is essentially public in nature and to which the entire world has access. We haven't asked for detailed information. We haven't asked for sensitive information. We asked for a name of the diplomat engaged and the date on which the diplomat was engaged. And to the extent that the diplomatic passport was revoked or withdrawn, the date of such withdrawal or revocation. And so, this answer tells us that something is amiss. And I will tell you what's amiss, people in Dominica. This, for me, is evidence that diplomatic passports are being sold. Because what this information would have disclosed is that people who found themselves in trouble with the law but had our diplomatic passports still continue to hold on to them. They should be revoked. You should withdraw them if you found that they're involved in international banditry or money laundering or terrorism and so on. But they still have the passports. Why do they have that? Because they paid for them and the people who receive the money are not willing to refund it. So if what you have paid me, you're not willing to refund, then you have no authority to ask me for what I have taken from you in exchange. And that is what this answer to the passport question is all about. They are hiding information in order to prevent the public from knowing the truth. And you know what galls me? You know what disappoints us in the United Workers' Party? That we have come to 2017 in Dominica, and we have politicians in this country who still pride on creating an atmosphere of ignorance and who thrive on feeding that atmosphere of ignorance, so that people will be constantly fooled, they will be lied to, they will be abused, left, right, and center, for the benefit of corrupt politicians. I stand here today to say to Dominica, it is time to wake up. And it is time for us to demand immediate cessation of distribution of all the diplomatic passports in Dominica, pending a full independent inquiry into what has gone on in the last 17 years under this Labour Party administration, because quite frankly it's disgraceful, and that is what is holding us up to international ridicule. That is what is preventing us from going forward. We'd like to move forward. And that is what has created the fears in the Roosevelt-Scared administration, that they're going to be questioned about this disgraceful conduct. So they don't want to say it is the authorities in the countries that feel they're going to be affected that are asking them questions. They want to let you believe that the 100 words that Leonard Clinton shared with CBS News that will result in that. Vince Henderson is already saying that Capitol Hill is probably getting ready to receive him. He might have to go to the Treasury Department. He might have to go to the Department of State. He might have to appear before Congress to control the damage. What damage? What damage? Absolutely no damage from the comments I made. All the damage has already been done by the reckless, low-risk conduct. Because you have all these boasts about money, program generating hundreds of millions of dollars for infrastructure projects, private development, and so on. Tourism, but a lot of the money remains unaccounted for. It's a fact of life. I just want to let you look at these CBI revenue numbers from 2009 to 2010 to 2015, 2016. It has been up and down. But we see some signs that the revenue is growing. That perhaps has to do with what is happening in the market in terms of the opening up of access to visa-free entry and so on in the past couple of years. And the fact that we have a very competitive price for our passports. But we have always asked for full transparency. We have always asked for proper accounting. And when we ask for that, they tell us, well, you know, or you can go and get the names of the people who are getting on passport in the Gazette. Well, that happens sporadically, and it only started happening very recently in 2015, when Thompson Funding and others were agitating about why is it we cannot know our passports are being sold to. And I heard an agent yesterday saying that you cannot release lists of the people who have purchased our passport because they are privacy issues. What could be private about you taking citizenship in another country? Why shouldn't the people who were born in the country know that you from Timbuktu or wherever else have decided to take a citizenship of Dominica? It's not on our oath of allegiance. It's not one of us. We're not supposed to know that. And that's okay for agents in the passport program. A lot is going on that Dominicans need to be very concerned about. I've said it's not about Leonard Clinton. And as long as there's life in me, I'm going to fight to make sure it is not about Leonard Clinton. It's about something much bigger than that. It's about how we, working effectively together, can do a lot more for our country. Because when a Prime Minister can tell you, as Minister of Finance, in the official estimates of revenue and expenditure for which he is responsible, yes, the civil service put it together, but it comes to Parliament through you, that the revenue intake for citizenship by investment in 2015-2016 was $99 million. And then he himself comes to Parliament and contradicts that number in his budget statement with a number that is $118 million more than what is in the estimates. There is a problem of accountability right there. Yeah. That problem of accountability is exacerbated, it is worsened when you consider that outside of the consolidated funds of Dominica, monies from the citizenship by investment program are being spent been withheld at the fancy and whim of one man, Roosevelt Skerritt. Roosevelt Skerritt pays his exclusive marketing agent for the program in 2015-2016, CS Global, $16 million. And ordinarily, you don't know what CS Global is doing, but right now we have an idea. Because in the past 24 hours, the operatives of CS Global have gotten busy with an international PR campaign against one man, Leonard Swindler. So Larry Davis, the former operative of the Clinton administration, paid $10,000 a month as an advocate for CS Global in Washington. Is on the job. So is Micah Evan Rhodes, she's on the job as well. They're sending all sorts of stories to PR wires saying how Leonard Swindler went to CBS and made misleading statements. Not one misleading statement has been identified to this point, where they are in the international community racking up all these lies and feeding all of this hate and prejudice without any truth or without any facts. That, ladies and gentlemen, for me, is the behavior of a rogue, disgraceful government that is hurting and injuring the image of Dominica in the international community big time. And rather than pass the buck, rather than allow them to pass the buck, the media in Dominica must hold their feet to the fire and ensure that because all we in the opposition want is what we believe the government should want as well, which is the effective use of citizenship by investment monies to grow the economy, to make meaningful investments in agriculture, in tourism, in manufacturing. Every time we say that, they tell you, well, oh, we give $15 million to the aid bank for the hotel sector, and we give $10 million from the agricultural sector, and we leave that alone. The government is just giving us more examples of how lazy it is. It cannot be that you just take a few millions and you toss it at the problem and the problem goes away. Where is the thinking? Where is the national economic development strategy? Where is your commitment to ensure that we're going to have more sustainable growth with the investment of these monies coming from citizenship by investment, so that the economy will be working more effectively and well for the young people of Dominica in particular and the people of Dominica in general? That's what we stand for. We are in a situation in Dominica where important social concerns we have that need to be addressed. I've spoken at length about this business of poor families, struggling people in Dominica having to find money to go overseas for medical attention. And every time it comes up, somebody has to take a paper around and go on a radiothon or do something of the sort. While we are boasting hundreds of millions of dollars from the sale of the citizenship of these very people. The citizenship does not belong to Skerritt and the group of people he has picked to benefit from it exclusively. It belongs to all the people of Dominica, and all the people of Dominica must benefit meaningfully from the revenues of citizenship by investment. That is what we stand for, that is what we insist on, and that is something I will not depart from. It doesn't matter how they curse me, it doesn't matter where they curse me, it doesn't matter how they dehumanize and demonize me. I will stand for the people's right to get their fair share of passport money in Dominica. And so, Ambassador Curtis Walker, a former expert advisor to the UN Security Council, the Counter-Terrorism Committee, he wrote recently about the situation that we're living through in Dominica. I want to quote him because it's important. The accusations in the wake of the CBS 60 Minutes program have descended to troubling levels. It is now quite possible that some of the accusations against critics of the programs could trigger violence against those individuals. The tenor of debate in Dominica in particular is cause for grave concern. Specifically troubling are the accusations of treason leveled at certain critics, also referring to these critics as terrorists. Such characterizations of free speech are anathema to civilized discourse. These are serious charges which should not go unchallenged. As an individual who loves the Caribbean and unabashedly supports Caribbean integration, I am compelled to condemn such reckless rhetoric without reservation. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I quote Ambassador Ward again. It is absurd for anyone who has exercised freedom of speech in a democratic society by openly expressing criticism or giving an opinion about a government program he or she opposes, that such expression would under any circumstances be considered treasonous, or for that matter, such an individual to be considered a traitor. A truly democratic society should be open to all forms of criticism by its citizens. The government has an obligation to protect that right to free speech. Otherwise, it is the government that is betraying its people and undermining the very democracy it purports to protect. Watch for who the real traitors are. Because when you get an opportunity, communicate it through your ambassador, to tell the story of your wonderful citizenship by investment program as you tell us, to an audience of 20 million around the world. And you don't do that, you are selling your country short. And when you turn around and you try to denigrate the person who says, okay, I have some truth to speak, I will speak that. You're disgracing your country, and you should stop it. We'll take your questions. Thank you, God bless you. There being no further questions, Mr. Jeremy,
Does I invite you first to ask a question to Ms. Barrett, please? Yes.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Caroline Baptist. I was at the press conference of the Prime Minister, and questions were asked as it relates to they being invited. And the Prime Minister said that as far as he's aware and is concerned, I think those exact words, but they were not invited. I have since seen a letter, an email from CDS saying that yes, they were invited through the ambassador, Vincent Desson. What's your take on that, sir?
Somebody in the Roosevelt Square administration is lying again. And those lies are destroying the credibility of Dominica in the international community. CBS News will have no reason to say they tried to contact you and they've not. Because if you try to say they've not, they're going to release the evidence of their communication with either the ambassador or the Prime Minister, as the case might be. So where does the government go from here? I heard Mrs. Kerry saying if any member of his administration, it can be proved that the evidence comes up that they made statements threatening the life of anybody, opposition leader or whoever else, then you fire them. Well, Mr. Prime Minister, Vince Henderson it is now alleged by CBS News that Vince Henderson was contacted on your behalf. And that Vince Henderson gave CBS the impression that you were talking with him about this interview. In light of the statement you made, a categorical statement that CBS News never contacted you. If in fact they contacted Ambassador Henderson, and you all have conversations, that it is time for Ambassador Henderson to go. It is time for you to go.
Any additional questions? There being no further questions, it is my pleasure to thank you for your attention at this press conference. We ask the media to ask.
So in light of this, they don't want to, Martin Curtis doesn't want to ask questions. I'm not the only person here, there's Matt and there's Curtis also. It's Mafia Matt Curtis. In light of all that saga now going on, where are we and what is the way forward for this entire episode? Dominica in the center, the name of Dominica is being tarnished out there. Where do we go from there? As citizens of Dominica, as an opposition, of course, with government, where do we go from there?
All right, Dr. thank you very much for speaking for Curtis Matthew and civilian force here. Okay. Where do we go from here? The big issue for us in the West Valley, we want to see the passport money doing more things for more people in Dominica, especially in the line of sustainable economic growth. And efficient social programs. But there is a concern with where we are in the international community. And like I said earlier, the biggest threat facing this program is the sale of diplomatic passports. And we're saying the future must be about bringing that disgraceful practice to an end immediately. And committing to the global community that you have done so, and that you are prepared to work effectively with your CARICOM partners, your OECS partners, especially those who are involved in citizenship by investment, so that you emerge from the Caribbean Basin as a responsible group of countries doing something that has the potential of causing anxieties in major countries of the world. But it is not going to get us anywhere if the Labour Party continues on this foolish agenda of attacking Lennox Linton through PROI across the world. That's not going to solve any problem. As a matter of fact, the more you mention Lennox Linton's name with a concern he has about what you're doing with your passports in Dominica, the more the world will have concerns. So deal with the concerns and forget about Lennox Linton. That's an advice I would have for them, because where I am and where we are in the United States Party, we are on the side of Dominica and the people of Dominica and what is best for the people.
We need to announce to the world that after the intervention of Allied, that one of the sheriffs is actually going to ask a question.
I listened before I asked. That's
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Mr. Linton, earlier this week, we saw threats coming all the way from the United Kingdom. Prime Minister at a news conference said this week that he will merely using this as a distraction. Are you taking any action? Have you written? I've been told from my sources that you'll be writing to the authorities in the UK to deal with this matter. And he further apologized. Are you prepared to accept the apology from this guy?
Any threat to life is a serious matter. You don't go around. You don't go through the trouble of making a video that you post on social media advocating that certain people must be executed, and then those who are supposed to be executed say it's a joke, Mr. Making. There's no joke in government. It's a serious matter. and will be treated seriously. I'm taking my time with it because the response has to be very well done. I don't want to miss a step. A number of people must be made aware of this and must be called on to act. It is not just law enforcement in Dominica. It is not just law enforcement in the United Kingdom. It is also the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. Because it is members of the Parliament in Dominica that are members of that august body who are threatened. And threatened for what? Threatened for things that they have a responsibility for within the construct of their parliamentary duties. Meaning, to look objectively at what is happening in government, and to criticize, and to disagree, and to propose alternatives, which is what we're doing. And as a result of that, some supporter of the Roosevelt-Skerrit administration in Dominica believes that Thompson Fountain and myself, or families, should be executed. It's a very serious matter. So, it's going to be taken seriously. Do I accept the apology? No. This matter has two dimensions to it. There's a message, and there's a carrier of the message. The carrier of the message is the video. He regrets making the video. He regrets that the video went viral. But to this day, the apology does not address the message, which is execute them, because they're talking bad about the country. We don't fool around with those things, Mackenzie. This is a serious matter, and it's being taken very seriously. Have you heard anything from Vince Henderson on that correspondence you got from CBS News this morning?
Well, very vaguely. Very vaguely.
Vaguely?
Yeah.
Okay.
He spoke about other...
Talk on the block?
It's absolutely my point. Just a second question before we go. Mr. Linton, yesterday, this agent, Mr. Sam Raphael, spoke about a lack of, if you will, public relations on the CBI program. And you think that this was lacking. And you think this noise going back and forth, the government against the opposition, can be dealt with. And he was willing to be, if you will, the guy in the middle to bring the two sides across the table. Are you willing to go on that line, sir, in terms of meeting with the government and discussing the CBI program objectively?
Well, Mr. Raphael needs, I think, at this time, based on his comments on your show yesterday, he needs to find himself in the middle so that he can facilitate a conversation in the middle. Right now, based on some of the things he said yesterday, I am not sure how much in the middle he is and how credible he would be as somebody in the middle. Sure. But let me also say that I heard Mr. Raphael saying yesterday morning that this matter of people getting citizenship and their names being disclosed is a problem because that should be kept private. I don't know how any agent of a citizenship program will be comfortable with a statement like that, because it seems to me that agents of that nature are committed to a sort of clandestine type of operation and doing things in secret and under the table without the knowledge of people who are supposed to know about it, which is why we're in the position we are today. So it would be great if Mr. Raphael finds himself in the middle with the credibility to lead a middle-of-the-road discussion that can be productive for Dominica. But I have to say, at this point, I don't think he is that middle-of-the-road person, because what I heard yesterday was propaganda on behalf of the Roosevelt-Skerrit regime.
Any additional questions? There being no more questions, it's my privilege to thank you for having me here, and we're asking and appealing to the press, please disseminate the information, get engaged, so that together we protect the well-being of our Commonwealth of Dominica. Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you.